Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session of 032 Play. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jason Tolero from 032 Play, and I will be your moderator for today. So let me introduce you our camp master for today. He is one of Asia's premier Tekken shoutcasters, doing work for the Nationals, KUMU, and so much more. Let us welcome our camp master today, Camp Master Kid. Camp Master.
Hi guys, what's up? What's up? Happy to be here.
Yes, happy to have you too. So before heading to the talk, can I ask you one question, sir?
Yeah, sure, no
Campus?
problem.
Okay. So the question is, so what is your favorite part of being a shoutcaster?
My favorite part of being a shoutcaster is probably it's when one of the hypest plays come and then you're there to experience all of it. You're there to talk about it. You're there to take it all in, and you know that you're being part of history in the making. You know, that's kind of the high that I'm always chasing when I'm casting.
Yes. Thank you for your answer, sir. That's so wonderful. So let us proceed for your presentation, sir. I'm gonna give the floor to you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now let me see. Give me a sec here, real quick. All right, now, whoops. Let me know if you can see my screen. Is it all good?
Yes, it's all good.
All right, perfect. So, guys, hello. I am going to be discussing about shoutcasting and what I think about it, why it's important, and and what specifically is important, and all that stuff, basically. So, let me introduce myself. My name is Kid, K-I-D. Sometimes I introduce myself as double D's, Kid, and here we go. So yeah, shoutcasting. We don't shout all the time. That's probably one of the most common misconceptions about shoutcasting. And here are a couple of companies that I worked for in my entire career so far. I worked for Bandai Namco Entertainment. If you guys aren't familiar with that, they are the guys who made Tekken 7 and all the other JRPGs like Tales of Berseria, Dark Souls, if you played it. I'm also part of the talent agency, one of the biggest in Manila, which is Rumble Royale. I've also worked for Signal TV. Yes, I've been on TV a couple of times, which I also can't believe myself to this day. Goliath Concepts, they're the guys who handle a lot of events in Manila, like the Nationals, ESGS, and so much more to mention. Moonsun, yes, I have casted a lot for a lot of ML events, as observed in the lower right corner of the screen, which is MSC. I am one of the 4 English casters in Mobile Legends Southeast Asia Cup 2019, and my main partner was Rockhart. And Next Play Predator, yes, they're the guys who make a lot of cool keyboards and cool peripherals, So these are the guys that I've worked for. Next up is these are the gigs that I'm mainly proud of. The Second Online Challenge Philippines, which is no doubt the biggest event that I've ever casted in. Although it was online, it would have been cooler if I casted this like on site, but because of this pandemic, we are at the mercy of technology. I'm still thankful that I got this opportunity. Electronic Sports and Gaming Summit, that is ESGS. It's like Comic-Con, but Philippines. Mobile Legends Southeast Asia Cup 2019, which is the biggest Mobile Legends tournament in Southeast Asia. The Nationals, the Philippines' biggest franchise-based esports league. And Rev Majors 2019, the biggest fighting game tournament in the Philippines as well. All right, next up. Now, what is shoutcasting? It's the running commentary of esports that is intended to both entertain and inform the viewer. They're usually the guys that you hear talking in television when you're watching sports like NBA or professional wrestling like WWE. If you guys have watched The Queen's Gambit, then hell, even chess has commentary. This is necessary to keep the viewers interested as to what's happening. And in shoutcasting, it's divided into 2 roles. It's play-by-play and color. Play-by-play. A play-by-play caster's job is to describe the action piece by piece. They give you a fast-paced story as to what's happening in front of you. If you guys follow esports, mainly esports. If you guys follow esports like maybe Dota, League of Legends, Tekken 7, all that, they're the guys who talk fast, if not really fast, when a clash is about to happen or something good is about to happen. They're the guys who turn into rap gods, you know? And on the other hand, there we have a color or an analysis. They analyze. They give insight to the whys of the game. Why this happened, why they did that, why they picked this, and why they picked this and that, or so on. Since they lean more on the analysis, they give insight to the questions of the pace of the game. Oftentimes, they're the ones who provide context as to what you've possibly missed as a viewer. If a certain result is reached by a player or players, then a color commentator steps in and explains what happened or what was the build-up that led to that point. Other possible questions could also come up that they could try to analyze and answer is, how is this decision affecting them? Or what else could happen because of that decision? All that, the questions of the game will be within the field of the color or analysis caster, and it's his job to do that. Sometimes, sometimes a play-by-play can also play around with it. Like, he can ask questions, like, be the viewer. The play-by-play acts as a viewer once the color commentator starts to explain things. And why is it important? Shoutcasting is important because it gives life to the broadcast. It gives the viewers a form of build-up and narrative to keep them invested for what's about to happen. Shoutcasting, it's important because, like, if you're just an average viewer, then for example, there's this big rivalry between two guys and they're about to fight. For an average viewer, this might be any normal fight, any average fight that you see on the streets or whatever. However, things change when you're provided context as to why this is something the viewer should look forward to. A lot is at stake, and a part of our job is to tell the viewers what those stakes are. The audience has to know what to expect so they can be engaged in the outcome. And, let's go back a bit on the color analysis side of things, right? If I could give like a prime example, for example, if you guys follow the Dota scene, one of the most infamous moments in Dota TI history is probably the KYXY Aegis deny. How badly did that affect their team when he denied their Aegis after killing the Roshan? It mattered because of that misplay. They missed out on the TI finals and got eliminated. Had they had that one item that could revive a player, the entire pace of the game would have changed. And that's exactly the job of the color commentator. He explains how it affects them. He explains how badly affected them and then snowballed from there. And if you follow CSGO, one of the best comebacks that I've ever seen when I was watching one of pro plays was when it was Team Liquid versus Team Luminosity Gaming. How badly did Cold Zero's 4K comeback affect Team Liquid? First of all, it affected their economy, their team morale, and overall momentum. Team Liquid was up 15 rounds and they were one round away from winning the entire thing, and until Cold Zero's 4K came in and just shot everybody down, and then they came back from there. Now, let's move on to why is it important. So give context as to why these two guys are fighting, right? To an average viewer, they're just fighting, but if you know the history behind them, you'll be more invested as to what's going on. Now, I do want you guys to visualize something. If an entire esports event is one big apple pie, The casters are just part of the ingredients. We may not be the most important, but we are part of what gives a full flavor. Next up is, what exactly is important? Disclaimer, this is all a matter of opinion. A lot of different casters have different opinions as to what's important. Like the first three or whatever, this is all mine. All right? You don't have to be influenced by what I say, but I just want to let you guys know what I think. First is game knowledge. Know the damn game. Your job as a caster is to inform and entertain the audience. Casters aren't all about hype, but they also educate. You can't teach a game you have no idea how to play or how it works. Sadly, it's become a trend lately in the Philippine esports scene that many different shoutcasters cast different games that they have no experience or competitive background in. Hell, even I was part of this until I decided to stop. The games you cast deserve respect. Please learn about the game before accepting the job. Funny story about this is that when the first ever game that I ever casted was Mobile Legends. It was held in SMC side, and I did not know anything about the game. Someone was just looking for a caster because one person apparently backed out, which is really funny to me. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna look for some casters. Maybe I can hook you up with someone. And then I couldn't find any. And I just started out here. I'm like, hey, do you want me to help out instead? So he gave it a job. I had 1 week left. I had 1 week to study the game. And all that I did was memorize every single hero name. And I just let my co-caster do the rest. Since I have a bit of background with MOBA games, because I play a lot of League of Legends, I can implement my knowledge from League of Legends to the Mobile Legends side of things. I know that this guy is pushing down at bottom lane. I know that, everything around the map I look at and then point it out to the viewers who probably missed it. But that's the thing, right? That's my initial mistake. That I should give more respect to the games that I cast, and that's why I decided to stop casting Mobile Legends. But because of that decision that I made, that I decided to cast without having any knowledge whatsoever, it did skyrocket me to multiple different opportunities, which I'm really, really thankful for. All right, next up is team or player knowledge. In line with game knowledge, it's important to know the background or history behind the teams or players because it adds to the flavor of your cast. For example, what's the history behind player A and player B? Why does it matter every time they fight? What's at stake between the both of them? To Dota players, one of the best examples of this is the history between No Tail and Fly. To an average viewer, this might seem like No Tail's being an asshole, which we completely understand if you're just an average viewer. But to some who know the history behind it, it says 1,000 words. Casters who are aware of this can make a talking point and provide an extra view for the viewers who have no idea what's happening. So yeah, let's go back to No Tail looking like an asshole, right? No Tail just apparently just shoved him when they both met in the stage. Which to a lot of people, they all said, oh, what was that? Or something like that, right? And then the average viewer is like, hey, why'd he do that? What just happened? It's really important that you know the context behind this. It's really important that you know the history of why the players act that way. And that's one of the main jobs that casters have. They feed you that information. Next up is establishing your role, or role establishment. A caster can be play-by-play, but also color. However, both can't be the same role. One has to tell the story, and the other has to explain why. That being said, Establishing your role between you and your co-caster before a broadcast is important to avoid any confusion between yourselves and the audience. Play-by-play has to stay as play-by-play, and color remains color. Please, if you're ever going to cast, don't suddenly switch up your role. It will confuse people. There was also this one time that I heard about this from a friend. There was this one big event, League of Legends event, and there was initial roles already, right? This guy was play-by-play, this guy was a color caster. They were talking, and then suddenly a clash happened. But suddenly, the color caster started to do play-by-play, and the main play-by-play guy just shut up because he just let him do his thing, respect. But in the middle of the play-by-play, he choked. He could not utter further words, and it was just dead air from there. It became really awkward. So the guy has the main play-by-play guy has to clean up his mess and pick up from there. And because of that humiliation, he humiliated himself. Because of that, he walked out in the middle of the cast, in the middle of the game. And he was left to cast solo, which is something that I will truly despise you for if you do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, so establish your role, guys, please. Next up is building some rapport. Now, this is mainly an honorable mention. Build your rapport with your co-casters. Know who you mesh well with. Finding a good mix to each one's casting style is great for a broadcast and viewer experience, and ups your chances of exposure to clients who are pleased with your work. Now, why does it matter that you know who you mesh well with? It's great that if a talent manager is there to tell you, hey, you're going to be with this guy because you have good energy with him. The thing is, there are a lot of caster duos out there who have the same level of energy. And for me, that's not always a good thing. If you put two casters together and they're both at the same energy of hype, they both scream into the microphones, it all sounds very chaotic to the viewers. And personally, me. In my opinion, one has to be calm and one has to be hyped up. One has to explain. One has to be calm and explain the multiple different sides of things, and one has to scream it all out to you. It has to be well balanced. Next up is a personal life hack or a personal caster hack. Pace yourself. Prepare some talking points, but don't go talking about all of them in one go. You talk about these points at separate times so you won't overload the information you're giving to the audience. This is also an important hack for casters for filler conversations in hopes of avoiding dead air. Now, guys, do I have a story for you? Back in December, when I casted for the Tekken Online Challenge Philippines, I casted for 12 straight hours. And in those 12 straight hours, we only got 7-minute breaks every 2-3 hours. And because it was online, you know for sure already that there is some technical issues, like players can't unable to connect with each other, or what do you call this? Like just connection issues in general, right? And that's really what you can't avoid that unless you're playing offline. You just can't avoid those technical difficulties. So we had to maintain the pace that we're at. We had to avoid as much dead air as possible. So we talked for straight 12 hours. We had so much to talk about, mainly because we loved the game that we were casting. And that's why it's important that you give respect to the game that you're casting. Gotta know something about the game. You gotta know something about the players, so you can at least have some talking points ready. Now, guys, the next topic for this one will be a bit darker, But it's something that you have to expect when you're in this industry. In the esports industry, it's most likely freelance for you, unless you're the guys who organize these events. These are the tough pills to swallow. Number one is making a name for yourself isn't easy. It really isn't, guys. In any field whatsoever, making a name for yourself isn't easy. Looking for gigs can be difficult, especially when people don't know who you are. You have to grind it out and get yourself exposed out there because no one else will do it for you. Luckily for me, I was blessed enough that I was in a small talent agency, and this one dude had so many connections, had so many knew so many people who organized ML events, Mobile Legends events, and he just told me, hey, you're casting for this event, hey, you're casting for that event. Quite frankly, and admittedly so, I was not the one who was looking for my own gig. Someone else was doing it for me, even when I didn't ask them to. And he did that because he wanted to develop me. And I really am thankful for that. And, big shout outs to Max Makiling from Unity Productions. He did all of those for me. And he helped me get to where I am right now. So big ups to him. So yeah, always grind it out, guys. If you want to keep at being a shoutcaster, please do so. We need more. Number two, lowballing. Whew, very rampant in the esports industry, especially when you're freelance. People won't always respect your rate. People assume your job is easy and will ask for a lower rate, or they're gonna find someone else. This mentality runs wild in this industry. I kid you not. People are gonna think, hell, when I started out, I started with like 1K a gig, 1,000 a gig, and they already thought that was too much for one event. Guys, swear, you have to stand by your ground. Let them know that you are a force to be reckoned with. But if you still wanna take the gig despite the lowballing that happened to you and you noticed it, I mean, if you wanna add it to your portfolio, go right ahead. Because guys, unless you've got a solid portfolio or made a name for yourself in the esports industry, no one's gonna want someone who thinks they're a nobody who wants a high rate. This is unfortunately a tough road to take, so make it or break it. Next up is you are always replaceable. Always. In line with point number 2, if they feel like they don't want to give that amount of money to you, or they feel like you don't deserve to be given that much for a job, they can and will look for other people who are naive enough to accept that job. Guys, it's kind of like that nearly all the time in the esports industry. Stand your ground, always. Make some connections, build your rapport, do whatever you can, but never accept that you are worth less than what you think you are right now. And guys, despite all of that, you have to remain professional. You have to stand your ground and remind yourself that there are people who don't recognize the amount of hard work required and put into your craft. Do not, and I mean do not, jeopardize your own career by recklessly calling people out or trying to cancel someone. It might come back to bite you in the ass. Remain professional at all times. If you have any opinions to yourself, make sure you're sharing it to the most trustworthy people, or keep it to yourself. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. That's unfortunately how it goes here. But I really hope that changes. But guys, that's all that I can say about shoutcasting so far and what you can expect. Hope you guys learned a thing or two. If you have any questions for me, do follow me on Facebook at AramisKid, AramisKidd. Follow me on Twitter, same handle. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Camp Master Kid, for that wonderful presentation. So we will provide a link for the question and answer portion. So we're gonna get back to you any second.
All right, thank you so much.